Good evening. On this wonderful summer's evening, last night we had a tremendous storm here on the farm. Gosh, some trees fell down. It was really an earth-shattering experience for the middle of July in Poland. And at the very end of it, what came upon the earth, what came upon the world, was a great deal of peace. Suddenly, after this enormous storm, there was peace. And I thought to myself, gosh, if I wanted to give something to a person that I loved, what would it be? Would it be money? Would it be power? Would it be possessions? What would I give that individual? Well, I would give them the gift of peace, wouldn't I? This is the ideal gift that everyone wants to give their spouse, their girlfriend, their boyfriend, their children, this gift of peace. But of course, unfortunately, I can't give you that gift. Why? Because you have to give it to yourself. There's no choice. And I think in life, and it is a long, long, long life, in life, along the way, wherever you are in your journey, you're already realizing that the vast majority of people are not at peace. And you ask yourself, why not? Why not? Why are not most people at peace? Well, I think at the very beginning, the truth is that we live mostly in an external world. I'm not living usually inside of me. Perhaps if I'm a bit of a religious person, I go to a church or a mosque on a Saturday or a Sunday, and I pray to God, Gaia, or the universe, and I aspire to be a peaceful individual at that point. But mostly, I don't achieve peace, do I? Because I have to give it once again to myself. So in this experience of meeting people that are not at peace, I think we have an obligation to say to me, the beautiful me, that, gosh, I'm going to find a way in my life to be at peace. And how do I do this? How do I do this? Well, I think we have a bit of a problem today if you're under 30 years old, because you've been handed a world, essentially, that is telling you that everything is accessible and everything is easy. And that begins with an Uber, perhaps, to take you someplace, or you go online and you order a product. Someone recently told me that in India, whatever you order, it can be quickly, very quickly, virtually all over the country. 1.4 billion people can be very quickly at your place of abode. Now, this is a problem because we fool ourselves into thinking that society can easily deliver us the things of everyday life. And we only have to be faced with a crisis, an earthquake, a war, a stock market crash, whatever it is, to realize very quickly that these are exterior phenomena. Inner peace comes to me through hard work. Hard work. So, how do I begin? Well, I think the first thing a person actually must do is to realize that you can find that inner peace. All of us can find the inner peace of perhaps Buddha or Jesus or whomever, right? The great masters, the theological masters in history. We would tend to believe, I believe, that they really were at peace because they were able either to access the essence of God in some religions or the energies of God in other religions, right? They came to this place of peace. But I think, as Buddhism tells us, many forms of Buddhism tell us, we don't have to run away and hide in a cave or go to a monastery or give up this life that exists today to find that inner peace. we could find it ourselves, right? Firstly, I must believe it's there. Then I must get to work on me, as I've often said. Why do I say get to work on me? I say this because I am unique. There is no one like me. There never has been, and there never will be, obviously, because the only consciousness I know is my own, truly. I think the other people around me are real, for sure. I write someone a letter, they write me back. I touch someone on the shoulder, they respond accordingly. I've been in love. I have a really good idea, I think, at 70 years old, what other people think. But I could be wrong. And I say this because I once had an experience I'll share with you. It's quite funny. I was speaking to these young women, two young women, about Turkey, all the things that were going on in Turkey. And I thought to myself, oh gosh, you're so clever. These young women are listening to me attentively. Whoa, the hubris was running amok in me, for sure. And then one young woman asked me, so sir, do you like your meat white or dark? And for a moment, I was totally confused. And then I realized, for whatever reason, they thought I was talking about the meat the whole time, not the country. And yes, I have an American accent. And yes, they were in the deep South. But still, to me, I was very articulate and very clear. They didn't get it at all. Quite funny, actually, when you think of it now, right? At the time, horrifying, of course, right? I was very embarrassed. So I believe it's there, and I get on the mission. However I can do this. I'm a big proponent, of course, of the notebook. Write to myself every single day, right? Those thoughts that just jump out of nowhere, write them down. Write them down. And then I think there are things very similar to chocolate or candy or a warm bath, things that bring me comfort, right? And I do think, in a sense, comfort, even spiritual comfort, gives you access to peace. And you know what that is. I know, for instance, when I walk in a storm on the west coast of Vancouver Island and get soaking wet in the rain and a little cold, I feel, in a bizarre sense, peaceful and in a state of peace. And I'm accessing something more than me at that moment. And then I think the very final thing that I must do is I must come to an understanding that this is a very, very, very long life, but it is mortal. It is mortal. So I shouldn't anticipate waiting for peace, right? Now, of course, we know people want to retire early, right? This FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, right? So these people want to find peace because they have enough, obviously, money in this case. But unfortunately, money doesn't bring you peace. It brings you comfort, for sure, but it doesn't bring you peace. Just like Midas from Greek mythology. He got the gift from the gods that everything he touched turned to gold. But he eventually found that he couldn't turn certain things to gold. His daughter, the implements he was using to eat, would be ridiculous if gold surrounded him in this sense. And he had to release himself, or release one of the gods from his agreement, his bargain, right? So I think ultimately then, once you come to that point, you realize, wow, I'm going to get peace as quickly as I can. I'm going to find that state. So I think, once again, realize that it's there. Get on the journey, whatever that means to you. I promote the notebook and super study. Every single day I reinforce the consciousness to be conscious of this day and realize that I want to be as peaceful as possible, as quickly as possible in this wonderful life. You know, I had lunch today with a friend of mine, old professor. I've known him over 50 years, a bright, bright man, but not at peace for whatever reason. And I was troubled. And when he held me and when he kissed me on the cheek, it's very touching, right? and he wished me well. I was so touched, right? And I wanted to reach out and embrace him more. But I can't give him peace. He has to give it to himself. And all of us are the same, right? So that gift that we talked about at the beginning of our conversation that I want to give you because I love you and I want the best for you, unfortunately, can only be given to me. And once I give the gift of peace to me, whatever that means, then people respond accordingly. I don't get so frustrated in a lineup or when people speak to me rudely or whatever it is. I speak to people kindly and rationally if I possibly can, because they're the ones that are suffering. I'll leave you with a thought. Many people say that human beings are selfish. I don't agree at all. I think that people are just afraid. They're just afraid. And fear stops them. It stops them from a state of peacefulness. And angry, bitter people, you'll notice, usually don't live long lives because they're not at peace. But your grandmother does, or did. My grandmother was 95, one 94, the other 95, something along this nature, right? And they finally found that piece of life, right? And they gave it to themselves. So remember, the gift of peace is to be given to me. And you know what they say? You know what they say? Critical thinking is great, especially if you're going to achieve a state of peace. And critical thinking is a gift you can truly give yourself. God bless. Bye-bye.